Last time, we spoke about Buffalo Sabres forward Alex Tuch and how he was the total opposite of clutch. Now, we're talking about the most clutch human being on the planet at the moment. It's none other than Montreal Canadiens forward Alex Newhook, a guy who has come alive in the Stanley Cup Playoffs with 7 goals in 14 games. This guy scored 13 goals all year for the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, no, that's misleading. He scored 13 goals in 42 games for the Montreal Canadiens. That's the season that he played. He was out for half the year. Kind of funny because he had 26 points in 82 Canadiens games in 24-25, but 1 fewer point in half the total games in 25-26. So he was essentially double the player that he was compared to last year, right? But Alex Newhook is triple, quadruple the player that he was in the regular season now in the Stanley Cup Playoffs. With 7 goals and 2 assists in 14 games played, he's got 9 points on the entire tournament, and he has been on fire. He torched the Buffalo Sabres with 6 goals in the 7-game series versus Buffalo. This guy had a personal vendetta against the city and the team, and he took it all out on the score sheet. Not to mention the fact that he had scored the series-winning 2-1 goal against Tampa Bay in Game 7 of that first-round series. That is back-to-back Game 7 series-winning goals out of Alex Newhook. And the fact that he became the first-ever Canadiens player to score an overtime Game 7 goal on the road in the playoffs is absolutely mind-boggling. The Habs have existed for 100 gosh darn years, for crying out loud. You're telling me that not a single Canadian team was able to win a Game 7 in overtime on the road? And the first time that the Montreal Canadiens did it was yesterday? That's ridiculous, but Alex Newhook was the guy to get it done, and in this video I wanted to talk about the trade which sent Newhook over to Montreal in the first place, as well as some of the external reactions we are seeing to how he's been producing. You have producer Drew, who was a very noted Colorado Avalanche fan, who tweeted this out a week ago before Alex Newhook went out there and scored all the crazy goals that he did against Buffalo. Alex Newhook scored his 6th goal of the playoffs for Montreal. That's 1 back of the playoff lead. The Avalanche famously traded him to the Habs for a first and a second. Where is this coming from? Hashtag go Avs go, hashtag go Habs go. He was good for the Avalanche, hence why the Avalanche got a first. He was a cap sacrifice. If he had played like that for us, he wouldn't have been traded. Mikhail Gulyayev and Ross Colton came out of that trade. Yay Colorado, LOL. Although Colton's goal last night is huge for now. Another reply from The Situation says this: "It's a very respectable return for Newhook, but why did the Avalanche trade him? Because he is an okay third liner who doesn't usually shoot 25%, and they got a first and a second for him. That's why." Now, let's go out there and take a look at the actual trade and what that entailed back in June of 2023. The Montreal Canadiens acquired Alex Newhook from the Avalanche for a 2023 first-round pick, which was 31st overall, a 2023 second, which was 37th overall, and prospect Gianni Fairbrother. Now, the 31st overall pick was recently acquired by Montreal in a trade with Florida. I'm pretty sure that was the Ben Sherratt trade, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was the Ben Sherratt trade. It got sent over to Colorado, and the Avs used it to select Mikhail Gulyayev in the first round. That second-round pick was then sent over to Tampa Bay, where the Lightning chose Ethan Gauthier, and the Avalanche got Ross Colton. And then you also had Gianni Fairbrother going over to Colorado in that deal, too. He isn't really doing too much these days. Fairbrother is a guy that we did make videos about in the past, talking about his status as a prospect and what he could inevitably become as a defenseman, but the former Canadiens third-round pick is now playing in Slovakia for HKM Zloven, and he was recently playing in the ECHL for the Utah Grizzlies as well. he's not going to be an NHL player, unfortunately. He doesn't even have his rights held by Colorado anymore. I would say that maybe the trade for Alex Newhook really just boils down to Newhook for a first and a second, and then Fairbrother was a throw-in in order for the roster space to actually work itself out between both of the teams. But Jay Fresh brings up a pretty good point here. In regular, everyday NHL play, Alex Newhook is an okay third liner. He's just shooting at a crazy high shooting percentage right now when you consider the overall number of shots he's throwing to the goal and how many goals he's actually getting. Game 7, he had 1 goal on 2 shots. In game number 4, he had 1 goal on 5 shots. In games 2 and 3, he had 2 goals and 4 shots each. So Alex Newhook, of course, is shooting at an absolute heater, but despite the fact that he is doing what many would call unsustainable shooting, he is still converting those results. That is more than you could say Alex Tuch was able to do, for example, and it is the main reason the Montreal Canadiens have gone this far. Without Alex Newhook, they may not have won Game 7 against Tampa, and they may not have won Game 7 against Buffalo. Heck, they may not have even won Games 2 and 3 versus Buffalo. Alex Newhook has just been that gosh darn important. And for a guy that was a third liner for Colorado when they won the Stanley Cup in 2022, okay, great. He had 33 points in 71 games in that regular season, and he had 4 assists in 12 playoff games that year. That's all he got. Alex Newhook was still developing and still getting into what he could become as an NHL player. 2 of those assists came in the same game against Tampa Bay in the finals. Newhook is truly showing, at 25 years old, the level of potential that we thought he was able to display in his earlier years. Not that anybody necessarily said that he was going to be a double goal per game guy over the course of a playoff run, but just somebody that is able to convert and who has that clutch factor in his game. Newhook is showing it in spades, and you're seeing it in the kinds of goals that he is scoring to win these series in 2026. This goal, the Tampa Bay goal, super weird. The puck ricochets off the boards and he kind of whacks at it while spinning around, and he reverse baseball swings it into the net. And then the goal on UPL yesterday, he just kind of takes a long shot as he enters the zone. I mean, I would assume for many players, when it's overtime, it's Game 7, you've probably got nerves, you probably don't want to take a shot from that far out. But Newhook's like, nah, I'm going to do it. You don't think I could do it? Watch me. And he does it, and then it goes in. What an absolute legend Alex Newhook has been. And for the Colorado Avalanche, I don't think they really care too much because they ended up getting some decent prospects and they won the cup already with Newhook. So it's not like they were necessarily missing out on what could have been. No, they're just trading away a piece that they actually did have success with. And now the Montreal Canadiens get to exhibit it as well. With that said, you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Alex Tuch non-clutch factor from last video? And how do you feel about the Alex Newhook clutch factor indeed from this video over here? Let me know in the comments all your opinions about Newhook and the way he's been playing so far in this playoff run. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.